Imagine this. You've planned the ultimate safari, and you're dreaming of spotting a lion in the wild. Majestic, untamed, and living freely in its natural habitat. That's the vision most of us have when we think of lions. But what if I told you there's a darker side to the lion tourism industry? Many of the lions you see aren't there for conservation. Instead, they're part of a dark industry called canned hunting, where lions are bred not to thrive, but to die. So, what's canned hunting? Picture a lion bred in captivity, taken from its mother as a cub and raised in confined spaces. These lions grow up around humans, and they lose their natural instincts and learn to associate people with safety. But here's the twist. These lions are often part of tourist activities first. You've seen the ads, pet a lion cub, or take a walk with a lion. Tourists think they're helping conservation efforts, but the reality is far darker. When these same lions are too old to be cuddly or used in photo ops, they are sold to hunters. When a lion reaches what's called trophy age, usually around 4 to 7 years old, it's offered to paying hunters. These hunts take place in enclosed areas and leave the lion with no real chance to escape. Lions are baited with food, and sometimes these lions are drugged, and those hunters may even shoot them from trucks. It's not hunting, it's a setup. Here's something that might surprise you. South Africa is a country that we celebrate for its wildlife, but it's the hub of the canned hunting industry. There are an estimated 10,000 to 12,000 lions living in captivity in South Africa. Want to know how many are truly wild? Just about 3,000. Think about that. More lions are living in cages than roaming free. But it gets worse. There's a growing trade in lion bones, and this trade is mainly driven by demand in Asia. They used to use tiger bones in their traditional medicine, but as the tiger population dwindles, lion bones are the new raw material in the industry. And South Africa legally exports lion bones. Get this, in 2009, only 5 lion skeletons were sent from South Africa to Laos. By 2011, that number had exploded to 496. This isn't a small-scale operation, it's a massive, lucrative industry. Now, there's an argument floating around that canned hunting actually helps wild lion populations. Those who say it reason that if hunters are targeting captive lions, they're leaving the wild ones alone. It may sound logical, but here's the catch. It's not that simple. Critics say canned hunting does more harm than good. By creating a market for lion parts, it fuels poaching. It sends a message. Lions have a price tag, whether they're captive or wild. And poachers, they see an opportunity to cash in. So instead of protecting wild lions, canned hunting might actually be putting them at greater risk. It's a vicious cycle, and conservationists are fighting to break. Let's talk about the ethics here. First off, these lions spend their lives in captivity, often in cramped and dirty conditions. They don't get to form social bonds, roam freely, or live like lions are meant to live. And when the time comes, they're hunted in ways that strip away any pretense of skill or fairness. Think about this. These lions are raised to trust humans, only to be betrayed by them. It's not just cruel. It's a complete exploitation of a species that symbolizes wildness and freedom. Even among hunters themselves, there seems to be this divide about canned hunting. You have some hunters who say that canned hunting just goes against everything hunting is supposed to be about. It violates this principle called fair chase. Actually, a lot of the big hunting organizations out there condemn it, because it really does take away from the skill, the challenge, and the respect for the animal. All the things that are supposed to be important in hunting. Some people even compare it to shooting a cow in a field. Canned hunting is definitely not for a skilled hunter that may go out in the wild and track a lion in its natural habitat. So, what kind of personalities are drawn to trophy hunting? Those canned hunters kill this magnificent creature and then display it as a trophy to kind of elevate themselves in the eyes of others. So it really feeds into that need for validation, especially within certain social groups. When I think about trophy hunting, I think about the photos, because they seem so staged. They're not just like, oh, I just killed this animal, let's snap a quick pic. And that's where we get into the idea of semiotics, which is the study of signs and symbols. Those images, they're more than just snapshots. A photo of a hunter standing triumphantly over the animal, often smiling, is really carefully constructed to convey a very specific message. It's meant to convey skill, bravery, and a sense of power over nature. And you know, these hunts, often costing tens of thousands of dollars, aren't just about the kill. They're about what that kill represents. So it's kind of creating this image of the powerful, successful hunter, and then those images, they get shared on social media. Now let's look at the bigger picture. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, or CITES, is supposed to regulate the trade of endangered animals. But there's a loophole called the commercially bred exception. What does that mean? Basically, parts from captive bred lions, like trophies or bones, can be legally traded. Even if a lion's parents were wild, as long as the lion was bred in captivity, it's fair game. Critics say this loophole undermines the very purpose of conservation laws, turning endangered species into commodities. South Africa has tried to regulate canned hunting, and back in 2007, a law was passed that required captive lions to be released into larger enclosures for 2 years before being hunted. The goal was to give lions at least a taste of the wild. But breeders pushed back hard. They took the law to court and arguing that it interfered with their business. In the end, the law didn't have much of an impact, and canned hunting continued. There is some good news, though. In 2016, the United States banned the import of lion trophies from South Africa because they believed that canned hunting had no conservation value. European countries have also started restricting or banning these imports. Meanwhile, organizations like Four Paws and Born Free are working to expose the cruelty of canned hunting, push for stricter laws, and advocate for a complete ban on breeding lions for commercial purposes. So what's the alternative? Ethical tourism doesn't just protect lions, it creates jobs, supports local economies, and fosters a deeper appreciation for wildlife. It's about seeing lions as they're meant to be seen, not behind bars, but roaming free. But here's the problem. Let's say a regulation bans this practice. What should we do with the thousands of lions in captivity? We can't release them into the wild immediately because they lack the skills needed to survive. Also, they're accustomed to being around humans, and this can result in feral lions roaming urban areas. On top of that, the natural environment might not be able to accommodate a sudden tripling of the lion population. That's why some people suggest we should sterilize them while keeping them in larger enclosures, allowing them to live out their natural lives. As you can see, it's a complex problem without a simple solution. But supporting sanctuaries that rescue lions from breeding facilities represents a step in the right direction. The fight against canned hunting is far from over, but there's hope. Public awareness is growing, and international pressure is forcing change. South Africa, too, is beginning to rethink its approach, with more people calling for stricter regulations and a shift towards sustainable tourism. At the end of the day, it comes down to this. Lions deserve better. They're not trophies or commodities. They're symbols of wildness, strength, and freedom. And it's up to us to make sure they stay that way.